Will a cloud code moment happen to designers? Should we prepare ourselves to learn a new job? Loredana Crisan, Chief Design Officer at Figma, shares her vision with us in this English-speaking episode. Thanks, Loredana, and enjoy the show.
Parlons. Design. Parlons. Design.
Cette saison est sponsorisée par Pablo.club, notre service de benchmark dédié aux designers et product managers. Lien en description. Hi Loredana, thanks for being on Parlons Design podcast today. To kick off this discussion, we have a lot to discuss in a few minutes. Can you quickly introduce yourself, basically?
Thank you for having me. Yes, I'm Loredana Crisan, the Chief Design Officer at Figma. I've joined Figma at the end of September after spending about almost a decade at Meta working on messaging experiences, so leading messaging for Facebook and Instagram DMs, and also on Gen AI, leading a consumer product for the Superintelligence Lab. And I joined Figma because I saw very clearly how AI was transforming the industry and the way that we work as designers and developers. Prior to joining Figma, I was a designer, but I also led teams across all products, so product and engineering and data science. And so it was very, very clear to me that Figma had an incredible opportunity to transform the product development process in a way that felt like the most important design problem of our time.
Yeah, indeed, a lot of opportunities and possibilities. Maybe I can say even too much possibilities sometimes.
And also responsibility from our side. We are the tool that designers turn to design, and we have a responsibility to help them transition into the AI era in a way that puts them in control. I think code and design are a little bit different, and it's very unlikely that we will have the same type of moment for design because of how design is different. So as an example, before, developers would implement the code and they would spend a lot of time thinking about all of the abstractions and the language that the code was in, but what users experienced was still the design. And so in reality, it's easier to allow agents to replace something that was never really what people experienced. But it's much harder to automate things that are supposed to represent your brand and your point of view and who you are as a builder, and that ends up being the design. So what's really happening is that in some way code is disappearing. You'll hear developers say that they haven't looked at code in a long time. At the same time, it's becoming a medium for design from a creative perspective. A lot of designers are playing with code as a way to create new experiences, but it's code with a point of view. It's code with the idea of creating with it, not just implementing or automating. So I think a lot of code got automated in a sense away, but it also elevated code as a material that designers could play with. And I'm really excited about what we could do with that. So my sense is that, the same moment for design is not possible entirely because the point of view of the human, the creativity of the human is too big of a part of design in order for this to be fully automated away in the way that code is becoming automated. And I'll give you an example from writing. AI has been able to do creative writing for quite a bit, but it is far from capable of matching human imagination, nor do humans want to consume content created by AI. Generally, they want something that feels authentic and directed to them by a person that cares about them, and design has the same properties.
Okay, super interesting. So there is this part of not everything can be automated. We need an intention, but potentially some part can be. What's the design philosophy of Figma about what can we automate on the design work, on the design job?
Yeah, so Figma released the Figma agent about a week and a half ago. We released it one day before Config because we had so many announcements at Config that it actually didn't fit in the keynote. And so the agent in Figma is able to help you do many of the design tasks that you would maybe want to explore. So it could create variations for you. So you could look at more options. We do believe that looking at many options, many ideas helps with creativity. It could take a lot of the work that maybe you don't enjoy doing quite as much, like setting up components. It could help give you feedback. It could help you look at your design through the lens of a different person, like maybe one of your users. If you create a synthetic persona, maybe one of your stakeholders, if you really want to simulate what your CEO might say about your design. It could organize your layers. It could do basically anything that a human could do on the design canvas. An agent can help you do. But just because you have all of this power of AI, it doesn't mean that you give away your control. And so the way that Figma is designed is the agent's there to help you the entire time, but it's mainly a scaffolding for your imagination. So as an example, we introduced motion at Config 2 weeks ago as well, and the agent could set up motion for your layers. But you as a human can go in and control the keyframes and like figure out the easing so you have the animation that really feels good to you. And a lot of that is experiential. You cannot describe it. You can't say, I want this ease curve that's going to feel like that. It would be absolutely like, incoherent. And so a lot of times we have to discover things and we can't just play with prompts and describe the design that we want because we don't know what it is yet.
So, in your opinion, it's like what we can properly imagine, see, view, we can automate it easily because you have what you need to describe this state. But a lot of the work is just to explore, to test, and that AI can generate for you some ideas so you can think about, reflect on it, iterate yourself based on this potential path. But also that you need this purely manual, detailed, advanced control to be able to explore by yourself.
We're big believers that you still want your hands in the material, and you want more materials on the canvas as well. So outside of motion, we also introduce code layers to the canvas. So now designers can start playing with code. And the universe really expands because then you could start playing with data. You could obviously work with interactivity. For the demos for Config, we were looking at different ways to help somebody discover events. And we created probably 20 in like about an hour. There are like a few of us, 20 different directions to take that event carousel from like, a scroll to a wheel to an S curve that we ended up putting in the keynote as well. And so to be able to do that in code on the canvas with the same process that designers actually know and love was really revelatory for us. We had so much fun building the demos for Config actually.
Yeah, it was something which was a bit frustrating. Like it was, I don't remember 1 or 2 years ago when you released Figma Make. It was like we have Figma Design on one side, Figma Make on the other. It communicates, but it's two different canvas. And with these code layers, it starts to become like one canvas which combine both opportunities. Are we going to move even forward? A really unique canvas?
I believe that keeping people in the flow is absolutely important. And so the more friction you add between like the different states of an application or file types or stuff like that, the less creativity you end up getting because, you hit a wall and maybe you don't want to make that transition. So in reality, exactly what you're saying will continue to happen. We're going to bring more elements to the canvas, obviously without making it overwhelming. And the agent itself, because it's a simple prompt box, it's inviting you to ask for anything. And so from that perspective, the expectations that this creates on the canvas is that it could operate on any material. And this is what we're actually creating with a new direction.
Yeah, for shaders is a perfect example for that of something super complex to manipulate manually. It requires a lot of technical knowledge. And with a prompt box, you can do it quite easily, iterate on it quite easily, and implement advanced material inside a easy to use canvas.
Exactly, because the canvas could always do this. And what was missing was the ability to write the code, all the math that's like involved in like getting the shaders in place. And now with agent, the agent can scaffold that for you. And it doesn't just give you the shader, it gives you all the parameters that you might want to play with it. Because again, a shader is an undescribable thing. Right? You're trying to like replicate a material, but what feels right to you and like what fits your brand and the moment, like what you're designing, is something that only you know, and we need to give you the tools to express that.
Really cool. So tools are changing, but it means like the designer role, the designer job is probably changing too. How do you imagine the future of the design role globally? Is it more tech-oriented role? Is it like a more product, user research focused role? What's your point of view on that?
I think it's an incredible time for design because you are in a place where you could command so many more materials and like, bring so much more of your idea to life. It used to be that in order to bring a product to market, you had to have many people that were specialized in many different tools. But AI is able to scaffold some of those areas for you right now in order to like take your idea all the way to production. And this is what we're trying to do with Figma. My sense is that designers will continue to expand their thinking, and as part of that, they'll need to expand their fluidity with like different mediums. The tools themselves aren't difficult anymore in the sense that agents can help you execute, even if you don't know how to precisely like control something. But you do still need to be in the material to develop your way of seeing, your taste, like how you think about the world, and like really bring your empathy in a product that connects with people. One of the things that's happening is that, of course, these tools help anyone create, right? Everyone's getting these superpowers, but AI on its own tends to converge toward the mean. It's trained on a lot of data. It's a pattern recognition system, and then with RLHF like training, kind of gets it to be playing the safe side. And so designers are very much needed to continue to expand our thinking and expand culture. So my sense is that the right thing to do is like just embrace all of these materials, play and have fun, but keep your point of view deeply grounded and like express it in everything that you do. And then the other thing that I'll say for design in particular is that it's going to become more and more important to embrace designing for non-deterministic systems. So right now, almost any experience in the world will have, the human way to use it, and also the agentic way to consume it. As a human, I might want to browse a website and read the content on it, or I might ask my agent to browse the website and like take an action on it. And so as designers, we actually have the responsibility to care about both of those experiences. And as agentic experiences become more and more common, verification becomes part of, how you specify what the experience should be. So this takes the form of really caring about data sets, like evals, and like, getting those very considered. Those are skills that I think are going to like continue to increase in the design discipline.
Skills that were mostly out of the scope of designers until now, for some of them which didn't exist at all, but we should open like our chakra to develop an interest in that stuff and be able to understand it and work with it finally. And internally at Figma, with the team you manage, do you already see some changes in the role you are recruiting, in how you develop each people in your team?
Absolutely. A lot of our designers ship code, and this we actually just released an AI survey that showed that the number of designers who ship code generally has doubled in the last year, I believe. And so we're seeing that internally at Figma. Of course, we built Figma in Figma. And so in any direction where we're seeing our designers start to explore and like becoming interested, that becomes a roadmap for us. Like this is one of our advantages as a company. We have a great design team that's very inspired to explore the future and like driving our product forward. So that's one thing that's happening. We for sure have dove deep into evals and data sets as we've started, post training proprietary models to have our agent design in Figma, and also ensuring that any third-party agents that we use produce good results for people. Our bar, even though we don't believe that AI should just design for you, I think that design is for people. When it scaffolds an action for you, when it helps you do something, it should do it with quality. So that is really, really important.
And quickly, ready to get in actionable tips for the audience. What did you put in place at Figma to help people move towards these new practices? Did you have any tips on that?
There are a number of things. One of the things that we've seen with AI is that it's not uniform. Some people are exploring ahead. Some people are a bit slower to adopt it. And there are good reasons for both behaviors. What became really important for us was the sharing. And this is why, again, Figma, whenever we see a need, we actually build it. So as an example, with our agent, you're able to see other people's AI conversations on the design canvas. And that was because we realized that an AI conversation is not just the output, it is an instruction. And when, as designers, we go into each other's files and see how a designer might have used an agent to do some critique or get feedback or get variations, etc., that all of that becomes shared knowledge for the team. Another thing that we put in place that again became a product is the ability to share tools. So a lot of times you're on the design canvas and you have an action that you want to repeat. Now the agent can can help you create actions, but many of those actions are things that you want to repeat and you want to allow your teammates to do that for you as well. And this is how plugins, the generative plugins became a product because it was very, very clear that we wanted to share all of our, vibe coded tools with each other. And this became the avenue to do it. And then just generally, taking the team's ideas and running with as many as possible, but still keeping a very high bar at coherence. One of the things that's difficult with AI is that everyone can explore, but in a different direction. And so what we're doing with the canvas is, bringing the team back into a co-creation space, which allows them to build a product that makes sense.
Quickly, if I summarize, first, it's sharing a lot inside the team to help everyone learn, discover, try, and it has impacted some real features in Figma.
Share the tools as well. So share the, prompting techniques, what you're discovering, enabling that, then allow people to create shared tools as well, and then bring it all in the space where the team operates together, because that helps create direction. Obviously have access to everything to play with and encourage exploration.
And the second thing that I forgot, but I just get it back, is with AI, we can create a lot more, we can explore a lot more, but then we have to select a solution to be pretty sure that it's coherent, that it is the right solution. And so we should be strict about that and not letting us we can do everything, so we do everything. But now we can do everything, so we explore a lot of stuff, and then we pick the right stuff.
Yeah, in the end user comes in and experiences your product, and it needs to make sense.
Would love to finish this podcast. I have just 1.5 question remaining. The last stuff is a really actionable tip. What is the thing you recommend all designers to try as soon as possible?
I would go back to try all the different tools and understand the best techniques and the best set of them that enable you to express what you want. What I would say is, and then I would say, go ahead and explore things around non-determinism. Start playing with model outputs. Start understanding how you would define what good is, how you create a skill, for example, in an agent loop that allows the agent to produce exactly the result that you want. This is a new type of design, a new form of design that will continue to increase. And most importantly, just don't ignore and don't give up your point of view. That is what makes you special. Continue leaning into that with all the new tools.
Love it. Love it. Thank you a lot, Loredana. To conclude this podcast, there is a small tradition. I offer you a fully free speech opportunity to close with a thought, a tips, a message that is important to you with the audience, and it will be the closing words for this episode.
Yeah, maybe I'll go back to something that I've been quoting more often recently. At the beginning of techno music, there was a movement that said this is not music because the computer's producing it. And at that point, Björk, who is a well-known European musician, came out and said, "Don't blame the computer if your music has no soul." If it doesn't, it's because nobody put soul into the music. What I would say is, like, as designers, continue putting, that soul into your designs. People need to experience it. Otherwise, the world just like becomes a bit more gray.
Thank you a lot, Loredana.
Thank you.
Parlons design. Parlons design. Design. Parlons design.